On this episode, we backtrack a little bit and talk more about renting and leasing and owning. What's up, everybody? Roman Miranda here. Welcome to the Uber NYC Guide Show, episode 15. Let's get into it. All right, so I got a request from Marie. What's going on? How are you? I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into renting, leasing, and owning. I guess I breezed over it in the Get Started section, so I will add this to the Get Started playlist. And yeah, let's kind of dive into it a little bit more. I want to preface this with, again, I don't have 100% facts on all of this. I have only rented and leased, but I want to dive into that a little bit and my opinions on what would happen if you were to own, and later on in 2 years when I own. So let's talk about those a little bit more. Okay, so I started out, and as I talked about in a previous video, I highly recommend that if you don't have your own car, to not jump into a lease, even though that's more, you're going to make more that way, or you're building an asset versus just renting. But I highly recommend renting. Use a rental agency. You know, do it as cheap as possible, whatever you want to do. And I think you should do that for 6 weeks minimum, just to see how it works for you. Now, renting is not building an asset at all. And at $415 or $450 or $470, depending on whatever kind of car you get, for a week, that's a lot of money you're dumping into something that's not turning into an asset. That's $1,600 at least, more like $1,700 or $1,800 a month that you're just throwing away, and you're not building any assets. That's like an apartment. So I recommend doing that for as little as possible. I do recommend you try it if you don't own your own car. Now, lease, when I say the word lease, I just want to clarify, I'm talking about lease-to-own. These rental agencies, Buggy, American Lease, Tower, those are some of the Uber partnered ones. They have lease-to-own options. So you can pay a weekly fee, and you do $1,000 or $2,000 down payment, and then you are leasing the car to own in a 2-year period or a 3-year period, whatever it is. So doing that, the lease to own, the word lease, which I Googled, is really just somebody who's giving you an asset or something on some sort of a payment plan. Most people, when you think of leasing at a dealership, there's usually mileage restrictions or some sort of restriction at some point, because you're going to return the car at the end of the leasing period. This is not that. This is lease to own. Maybe think of it as rent to own. I don't know. But in general, but that's the word that they're going to use, is lease to own. And that's what I'm talking about. So a lease to own is when you're paying a weekly payment and you're paying off the car and you're paying for the insurance, the commercial insurance, and you're paying for the F1 insurance and all that stuff, and the stickers and the plates and all that stuff. They pay for all of it, and then you're paying it off week by week, and then after 2 years you own the car, or 3, or whatever the leasing contract agreements are. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. And then on top of that, I want to talk a little bit more about owning. Now, I have not gone through that process yet. I do not own a vehicle that, actually I do, but it's a manual, and I would definitely not want to drive a stick for 9-10 hours a day. So I don't know that process. I would recommend checking out Uber's website or checking back here in a year or two when I'm at that stage. Because if you own your own car, you do need to get your own commercial insurance. You need to get some, I don't know. I'll check Uber's website, but I think it's like FH1 insurance or something. You need to get the plates. A couple of things that I do know, just because I've heard it and I remember it from going to the Uber office a couple times. If you have your own car, you definitely need commercial insurance and you need the TLC plates. A couple of things to note: if your car has TLC plates, you Only someone with a TLC license is allowed to operate that vehicle. So if you have a family car and you put TLC plates on it, then your husband or wife or your kids or your neighbor is not going to be allowed legally to drive that car. If they get pulled over and they don't show a TLC license, then they'll get a ticket or you'll get a ticket. I don't know, but someone's going to get a ticket. So that's something to note about it. Another thing to note, any TLC vehicle, the operator, as of the recording of this date, is not supposed to talk at all while the car is in motion. I heard a story about a TLC driver who got pulled over and got a ticket, and he was singing in the car, and a cop saw his mouth moving and pulled him over and gave him a ticket. Now, I don't know if that's 100% true. It was in the TLC teacher told me that, and I heard that through that part of it. So I don't know, but it makes sense because you're not allowed to have Bluetooth. You're not allowed to do hands-free calling within the car. Like, I know maybe it sounds crazy, but like, you're not allowed to do any of that in a TLC licensed vehicle as a TLC licensed driver. So that's a couple of things that I know. A couple other things I know, totally ballpark figures, but I believe that the commercial insurance for a TLC licensed vehicle that you're going to own and then get your own insurance is somewhere between like $3,000 and $4,000 a year for the insurance. And then you also, you need the plates, which cost, I don't know, a couple hundred, I think. Definitely, this would be an opportunity, or this would be a chance to go to the Uber office and sign in on one of the iPads and ask them more about the owning process, or go on their website. Maybe there's more material. I'll try to do a little bit of research myself. Although I don't want to lie, I'm not at that stage yet, and I'll try to find something, but do the research yourself because you'll get the answer faster. I think that kind of covers a little bit more of the renting, owning, leasing stuff is. I hope that helps. Let me know if there's more specifics that you want. I'll try to do a little bit of research on the owning part, but that video might not come out for a while. So check that out on your own. And yeah, thanks so much for the feedback, Marie. I love it. Let me know if you have your own questions. Jump in the comments below. I'm answering every question and comment for the foreseeable future. So yeah, while this is still building and small, I totally have the time to respond to everybody. There's no excuse not to. So if you have your own questions, just reach out to me in the comments or whatever. Facebook me, tweet me, Snapchat me, whatever you want. Cool. Hope that helps. Stay classy, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.